Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another Mattel Jurassic World Dominion set to take a look at. This time we have the Extreme Damage Owen and Velociraptor Blue set, which is definitely a pretty cool looking set. One that I was able to acquire through Walmart.com thanks to my good friend John Saculo, who let me know that it was in stock on there. And the set looks pretty neat overall. You can see that we've got a window look here for the front of the box. It's a little hard to actually get a good shot of it without the glare completely killing it, but you can see that we've got Velociraptor Blue as well as two human characters there included, and then when we knock it over and try to turn it around, we've got a look here again at the back of the box stating that we have Velociraptor Blue, obviously Owen, and Delacourt, and I'm very unfamiliar with that character. Don't know anything about him, I guess, until Jurassic World Dominion comes out, but he looks pretty cool in this set. And then we down here have an image of the Allosaurus that is coming out, the Extreme Damage Allosaurus. So let's go ahead, pop this Pursuit Pack open, and check it out. So here is our Delacourt figure. We also have the newest Owen Grady figure to take over our retail shelves, and then the Velociraptor Blue figure, if we're going to move this over here a little bit to get them all in frame correctly. But the set definitely looks fun. I'm trying to distinguish whether this Velociraptor Blue is a new sculpt or if it's the same sculpt that we've had prior, or if it's the same sculpt as the recently released Extreme Damage Velociraptor. We're going to bring that one in here really quick and kind of take a look at the two together. And, I mean, I definitely think it's potentially, actually, let's put them the same direction. That would probably be the best way, I think, to decide if it's the same figure. And it's actually hard to tell, but they definitely look to be potentially the same figure, the same sculpt. The legs look to be in the same positioning. Obviously, the wounds on the side look to be the same. If we go up above and take a look at the tails definitely look to be heading in the same direction and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and say that as far as the Extreme Damage Raptor goes, this is definitely the same Raptor that we've just recently reviewed here on the channel. But that means that our Owen Grady and Rain figure over here are two brand new figures. So let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look at all of these right now. So taking a look at Velociraptor Blue, we have just reviewed this sculpt as, again, it is the same raptor that we had in the original Extreme Damage version released, and all we really need to do is take a look at what's different on this one compared to the previous one, and you can see obviously that would be the coloration. We have the classic Velociraptor Blue coloration here on this one with the blue stripe running up along the side of the head, up and around the eye. The eye is actually painted very nicely with a yellow, giving a nice black slit-like pupil. You've got the white outline there for the blue, which is something that sometimes Mattel skips out on, but we do have it on this one. You can see that we have some speckling going on here in the face, and of course the majority of blue is a nice gray. We do have an articulated jaw, but just like with the other one, it's actually really quite loose. Like you can see it kind of fell right there. There you go. You can really see how loose it is. The other one wasn't so loose, but it was a little bit loose. Not enough that I felt like I needed to comment on it in the video because it wasn't really all that loose, but this one definitely is a bit looser than the other one. You can see the inside of the mouth sports a very nice realistic tone of a pinkish coloration with a nice gloss coat. The teeth are painted with an off-white, kind of bordering on a yellow, and everything looks pretty good as far as the paintwork goes on the face and on the inside of the mouth. You can see the eye is painted perfectly over here, just like we saw on the initial side. You could see a few more of those speckles, really subtle speckles there on the face. I actually really quite like the way that they look because it adds a little extra color variation to the figure. You can see even more of those up here on the top of the head. As you lead back here, you can see that on this side, the blue stripe actually stops before the eye, which is again exactly how Velociraptor Blue looks in the films. You do have some alternate coloration here on the underside of blue, as we have kind of like a light yellowish tone of color that does run down here into the hip region, kind of ends right past, well, more like the groin region, but it ends right past that area. You can see it starts there in the throat. Unfortunately, does not run the entire length of the tail. I wish it did. And the blue stripe continues to run the length of the figure all the way out here onto the tail. You can see more of those speckles in random places as you run the course of the figure. We do have nail paint on the feet with a nice dark gray, giving a beautiful gloss coat. And we don't have paint for the dew claws as per usual. And we don't have paint for the fingernails. Of course, we have the action feature here with the Extreme Damage. You can see the nice glossy red in there. Works very well, as it usually does. Same deal for over here. Again, very nice addition to these figures. And then we do have the scan code, which you are now extracting the DNA from Velociraptor Blue. You've got to look at it right there. Again, it has the Jurassic World logo there on the back. So it's pretty much your run-of-the-mill as far as a Velociraptor Blue figure goes. We've had so many up until this point that it's hard to be impressed and excited about one, but the fact that we do have an extreme damage version is pretty cool. It's nice to have an alternate version. We have had the battle damage blue in the past, but I like that we have now this version. Definitely a really nice sculpt and a pretty nice paint job. It could be better, but it's still not terrible. And then we've got our Rain Delacourt figure, and you can see that he almost looks like AJ Styles from the WWE a little bit right there, but you can see that as far as his hair is sculpted out, it looks really quite nice. There's some nice wavy detailing to his hair, so it adds some life to the hair of the figure. You can also see that he's got himself a nice little 5 o'clock shadow of some kind, or maybe even a beard. It's hard to really tell. He seems to have a nice tattoo here on the side of his face that's also very nicely applied. The eyes are painted with a blue, giving a nice, somewhat glossy appearance, and everything as far as the paintwork goes here on the face is extremely nicely applied, very nice and carefully applied. As you move down, you can see that he is wearing a nice overcoat. He also has a black shirt on. I believe the coat is removable, or it definitely seems like it could be removed. I'm not going to do it, but it definitely looks like it could be taken off. And you can see again that he has like a button-up shirt here. You can even see like the structure of his body underneath, kind of like his pecs and everything there, as well as some nice wrinkling in the shirt. He's wearing gloves, it seems, and they're actually a little bit glossy, which I actually kind of like that. That's pretty cool, because that's something you would definitely see on, depending on the glove. Sometimes you would see a little bit of a shiny look to the gloves, so that looks pretty neat. As you move down the course of the body, he's got himself some nice black pants, obviously. Actually, the shirt's not black. It's like a similar color, actually, to the gloves right there. It's like a very, very dark brown, but maybe bordering on a maroon. But you've got black pants or a very dark blue pair of pants. They as well are sculpted and really nicely colored. I think everything, again, looks very precise, like the transition from the pants to the boots here. Super nice, very precise paintwork on the figure, and the sculpt, I love that we have like the wrinkles and stuff in the pants, giving again more life to the figure overall. He does have articulation. He's got the articulation in the neck, and then the articulation in the arms can swivel, come out away from the body. Also has the elbow joint, so quite a bit of articulation. And then we've got the legs, knee articulation, and yes, we can swivel the hips as well. And then our Owen Grady figure, fairly nicely done, looks just like the older Mattel figures, probably the same sculpt I would imagine. And you can see his hair and everything is really nicely done. All of the paintwork on Owen's face as well looks pretty darn precise. You can see a little bit of like a gloss coat leading down from his eye. Almost looks like he was crying or something. He's a little upset. And you can see some facial hair on him as well. As you move down, you can see that he's wearing a red shirt and obviously sporting some nice detail. You can see as I actually let the light hit it, you can really see some nice wrinkles and everything in his shirt. And as you move down, you've got a nicely sculpted out and painted belt, another area where there's a lot of room for error as far as that goes, but it is actually very nicely placed as far as that paintwork goes. You can even see the loops on his pants are actually nicely painted out on the figure, which is really cool. And then as you move down, you can see more wrinkling and everything through the course of his pants. Very nice detailing. He's also got the same style boots on that our Rain figure had. And then we also have this area here on the back to include, I guess, for the knife. Owen also has all the same articulation as our Rain figure did. You can see the head articulation a little stiff, but you've also got the, again, shoulder articulation out away from the body. Elbow articulation can totally swivel if you choose to. We have the waist articulation, and then the hip, as well as the knee. Same style articulation as pretty much every human figure from Mattel. And then you've got the little knife. It's super small. Not really too much going on with it that you can really tell. It's very, very small. And then you can slide that again into the back of his outfit right here, potentially. Yeah, there it goes. It's in there, and it sits in there actually really nicely. Definitely not something that I would expect to fall out, because that was actually a little bit of a push ahead to get it in there, which is a plus because you don't want something like that falling out. Something that small will go missing very quickly. But a pretty cool set. Nothing groundbreaking, not quite as exciting as the other extreme damage figures we've reviewed recently, but still really quite cool. Yes, I know what many of you are probably thinking at this point. Why do we need another Velociraptor Blue? We've had so many from Mattel in the past, but you have to take into consideration the fact that we are now entering a brand new film where Velociraptor Blue is one of the, biggest attractions as far as the dinosaurs go. So we're definitely going to get more Velociraptor Blue figures, probably a plethora again of Velociraptor Blue figures, and again, once you take that into consideration, I think you can understand why we have yet another blue, and I think it's totally okay, especially since they have given us a very different version of blue with the extreme damage action feature. As far as a size goes, even though you probably already know the size of these figures, for Velociraptor Blue, you are looking at around 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters in length. For a height, about 3 3/4 inches or a little over 8 centimeters, maybe closing in on 8.5. And for our human figures who are the same size, you're looking at right there in that 3 3/4 inch range or around 9.5 centimeters. I don't feel like we really need to do a size comparison or anything because at this point you definitely know roughly what the size of a Velociraptor Blue figure from Mattel is, and you definitely know what the size of the human figures are if you've been following the line. It's been out for many years now, so you probably already have a pretty good idea of the size. So this is another pretty fun set from Mattel, and we have a brand new human character entering the line, which is very exciting, as well as a totally different version of Owen and Velociraptor Blue, so that as well is really quite exciting. The Velociraptor Blue pretty much looks just like all of the other Velociraptor Blue figures that Mattel has released over the years. It doesn't look drastically different or anything super crazy or cool, but it is a pretty fun version of Velociraptor Blue, and the addition of the extreme damage feature is definitely a plus. It's not like they just completely gave us another figure of Blue as like an attack pack or wild pack or whatever they're called now, or something along those lines. We did at least have a little bit of difference between this one and the older ones with an extreme damage feature now, and I think that is definitely a plus. And the blue figure overall looks pretty good as far as the sculpt goes, as per usual, and definitely has a pretty nice paint application. It could always be better. We could have nail paint on the fingers, and then that paint coloration there on the underside run the entire length of the underside of the figure, but it still looks pretty good for what it is. Our Delacourt figure is definitely very nicely done. The sculpt looks fantastic. The paintwork is all fantastic, very nice, very precise through the entire figure, and I love how detailed Mattel gets when it comes to their human figures. You could just see so much movement and life throughout the course of the figure with like wrinkling in the clothes and the wavy hair and everything. Definitely very nicely done. And our Owen figure as well is pretty darn nice to see a different version of Owen. We've had many Owens in the past, but it's been a little while now because we weren't really focusing on Owen for quite some time. So it is, even though we've had a million of them before, it's nice to at least have a different variant. And yet again, when it comes to a brand new film and Owen being one of the biggest stars in the film, you're going to get more Owen figures, whether you like it or not. And you can again see that as far as the sculpting and paint job goes on him, he's just as nice as we get on the Delacourt figures. So as a whole, this is a really cool set and definitely one that I'm really happy to add into my collection. If you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on Walmart.com. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you purchase and include this set into your collection if you are interested. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.